Hi guys, my name is Cyrus and welcome to the ABC of a sabbatical live. So today what we're going to do, we're going to talk about planning your money for a sabbatical. Everything that goes into actually taking one. So many of us have been thinking about it for very long, but how do we actually go about planning it? How do we break it down? How do we plan our finances so that even when we come back from a sabbatical, we have enough so we don't have to worry and get anxious about it. We have an incredible and really interesting panel here with us today. First up, we have someone who actually has taken a sabbatical. We have with us Neeraj Basi. He's been an advertising professional for the last 20 years. Neeraj, thank you so much. You're the only one on this table who's taken a proper sabbatical.
Right.
You're our voice for people who take one. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Neeraj. Thank you. And he's going to be giving us a deeper insight through his own set of experiences on taking a sabbatical. We also have Dali Agarwal, who is a research professional who wants to take one. Who will take us through her fears and inhibitions about taking a sabbatical. Dali has tried to take a sabbatical, what, twice? Twice, and not done so yet, not acted upon it. Hopefully after today's conversation, we shall lose you to a sabbatical, Dali.
That's the plan.
So now we've got all our questions and all our queries. Who's going to answer them? We have our financial expert, Karthik Javeri, who is going to explain how to go about planning one, the mechanics and the math behind it. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
You are a voice of reason, and you're going to help us through all these questions we have about,
Absolutely.
Can I take one? What do I need to do about it? And of course, the different types of sabbaticals that people want to take. So guys, thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful Facebook Live. First up, I have to ask you, Neeraj, so how long was your sabbatical?
Around a year.
A year, right? What all did you go through? What all did you start planning before you decided, okay man, I really need one? Was it a planned sabbatical?
It was not a very planned sabbatical, if I were to say. So I'm also looking forward to this session to learn some more as to what are the things I did wrong. But I've been thinking about it, all these turn of years when the decade turns.
Right.
So when I turned 40, that's the time I started thinking that, hey, is this where I wanted to be? And it was on my mind for some time, and then an opportunity came in which a few school friends of mine were thinking of a startup, and I got into talks with them. The startup didn't happen, but my sabbatical did. So that's the thing that I did. And the good part was that in the company where I was working, they used to give shares to employees.
Right.
So I had some amount of shares with me, and that gave me the comfort, that gave me the confidence that there's an amount that is there which will last me for a while.
Right.
As I figure out what do I want to do next.
Right.
So it was more taking a break to evaluate, to see, refresh myself,
right,
and decide where I want to go next.
So at some point in time, also, the job you were in was something you were seeing as something you had maybe outgrown?
Yeah.
And you needed that change?
Yes.
Was that playing on your mind for a very long period of time?
Not very long. So the world has gotten very dynamic, and there were lots of changes happening in the world, and I wanted to be on top of that. So a lot of allied industries were coming up,
right,
which were so advertising is going through a change, and digital has come up, content has come up, video making has come up. So I wanted to check out the other allied fields,
right,
where I can add, where I can make a difference.
Right. So it was almost like trying to find if you can have a bit of a software update for yourself,
right,
in this ever-changing sort of world.
Completely.
Interestingly, Dali,
what I was thinking is
right,
that, as all of us, we work and we have to work pretty much, yeah. But all of the objective of working and the end game cannot be only about money and paying the bills. You also need to take time out to spend money for yourself, to do something for yourself. I have wanted to recharge myself and do something very off, something not even related to my career, right? I wanted to go abroad, I wanted to live there, I wanted to study so I could feel a part of the culture there, know what it is like to actually live there, not just go as a tourist and take photographs and come back. I thought I'd made a plan, and then 2008 happened. I saw my friends losing their jobs, and I said, hey, bad idea, scrap it. Let me just keep the security of my job and deal with whatever I'm going through and plod on. And I think about 5 years later, I said, okay, now I had enough. And I had some money in the bank, so I said, it's okay. My husband's there and I can always deal with some break in my life. I was thinking of a year. But then I got to know that we were going to have a baby. So immediately again, plans had to be
You're back to
change
the
the tracks.
routine
They had to
and-
change all your
Yeah,
tracks, right? Money
absolutely.
cannot be spent there. So there is this whole fear, right? That a very large part about following your passion is to do with money, and I feel that cannot be escaped.
Very, very often I say this thing at a lot of forums, okay? And what this is that if you are 40, and by the time you're 40, and if you don't have 80,
Oh,
and that 80 does not include the house that you have, and does not include the office, does not include the factory, but by the time you're 40, and if you don't have 80, then there's a problem. And by the time you realize it's a problem, it's already a very big problem. And you can't really do too much to fix that problem at that point of time.
Right.
So now, a lot of times, when you sort of start this mission a little bit early, whether it's 2008 or whether it was 2000, going back a further few more years, these things you become immune to. Because suddenly you know, I've got a lot of strength, I've got a lot of backup, and the most important thing, I have options. So for everyone who's looking at options, options happen when there's a backup. And that backup is nothing but, having maybe 80 by the time you're 40. So
Right.
if you can follow this little bit of a rule, heads out to start with, it might be interesting.
So, so when what you're saying is that if I'm 40, I gotta have 80 lakhs
yes,
at least.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Not 80 crores for now.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm just checking.
unless we
Half
were
the
Brazil
people are
or
locked
something
down
like
like
that.
I'm never taking a sabbatical.
Yeah,
No, but that's really good, and you're absolutely right. Interestingly, the both of you have a similar situation. By 40, you were married, you had kids.
Right.
The two, I think, responsibilities towards a family where even your friends might tell you that, man, I don't think it's such a good idea with
Right.
two young kids,
Yes.
school, expenses, blah, blah, blah. But you had already built a life, like what you were stating, and you had
Absolutely.
a little bit of money saved
Yes.
away, so you don't have
Yes.
to worry about it constantly, right?
Yes. But even then, it's a like the partner plays a very good, very important role. So
Right.
my wife was really supportive,
Right.
and hats off to her,
Yeah.
to bearing with it.
Yeah, I'm interested. So how did you go about planning your money for a sabbatical? Like, what did you
Yeah.
keep in mind? Did you have a plan? And then I'm going to run it by you.
Sure,
Sure.
absolutely. Yep.
So basically, the first thing was that how much money would be required for that time duration. So if I am planning to take, say, 6 months to 8 months, it finally, ended up being 12.
Wow.
While I was looking for some 6 odd months is what I had planned for. So there's money because the house will keep on running.
Yeah.
Kids' fees will keep on going.
Right.
So all those recurring expenses would be there. So some amount for that. I had a little bit buffer. So when you're coming back, it will take a little bit of time. So those were the two things that I had in my mind.
So you sat, you made monthly expenses,
Yes.
Expenses towards like any other drama that may occur,
Right.
And then you decided I have that, and only then I should take a sabbatical.
Yes.
Right.
So I had to do that calculation before taking the sabbatical.
Right.
Yes.
may I ask, do you need to downsize? Do you need to scale back when you're thinking about going for a sabbatical?
So for the
short-term
6
future?
months, I didn't. But after 6 months, when you don't know when it's going to end, so at least in my case, I don't know if it happens with everybody. So you had a end line in mind that okay, by this time I would have figured things out. Maybe you think it to be quite short, that you're quite smart and you'll figure it out by that time. But when it goes beyond that, is when I started. I did start to downsize a bit after the 6 month, leeway that I had given to myself.
There you go.
That
All right, kids.
That's something
we're
I
gonna play
hadn't
a game.
thought
We're
of.
going to be selling the furniture today. It's going to be a lot of fun.
But Neeraj, you make a very interesting point here, and something that I will also factor in a lot of calculations. The rule of inertia. See, what happens is when you're a Mumbai citizen, let's put it this way, and life is so fast, then you suddenly go to a place where the life is really slow.
True.
You might not like it for the first 10-15 days. I mean, rather you like it for 10-15 days.
And then
Then
you-
you get bored.
Right.
Then you'll say, let me get back to my life.
Right.
But then if you live that for an extended period, like a sabbatical, then you get very comfortable there,
Right.
and you don't want to come back there.
Right.
And that's the inertia. And we will also talk about plugging in a little more,
Right.
just if you want the inertia to continue. So I
very
think
true.
the role of inertia.
I went through that. That after 6 months, do you really want to go back?
Right. It may change you forever. You know what I mean?
You see,
you were
everyone-
single when you first
Yeah.
wanted to take one.
The first time,
right?
the first time.
Do you think that at some level it was primarily driven financial? I find it very interesting, and this is something a lot of you guys may take. It's about also taking a leap of faith. You wanted to quit your job. So why would the fact that the markets are going up and down bother you anyway? Because you knew you're not going to be part of it for the next 8 months. Why? Do you think you were just scared?
I was scared because I didn't know if there was a coming back.
Okay. So the comeback was worrying
comeback.
for you, right?
Yep.
So do you think we can actually come up with a form? I know it's different sabbaticals happen for different people. Right now we're talking to two people who actually wanted to plan one. There is a whole market of people who just had it, and tomorrow morning they can't take any more.
Yes.
Do you think we can actually, as a culture, we've also never really thought of a sabbatical? You tell your parents, I'm taking a year off, they'll be like, what do you mean? What does that mean? You take a day off, you don't take a year off.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we come up with a plan? Is there a possibility of almost an equation or almost like a sabbatical fund that people should sort of keep in mind in order to deal with situations like these? Because these situations also pop up in your life because of mentally getting a burnout or wanting to do something else with your life. Do you think we can have a equation that could be created?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
But before that, can I just take a little leeway and give a little tip from what she's just said and from what you said, right? That a day off is okay, but suddenly a year off and people will think, what's wrong with you? You know, a lot of times I personally do this, and I like this idea a lot. I tell everyone and all the viewers who are listening to this, here's a little pre-sabbatical mantra, if you like. Okay? Take a holiday. And take a holiday where you are by yourself. 7 days, 10 days, it's like a tiny little sabbatical, pre-sabbatical. Don't talk to anybody. Now, don't even go to the other extreme of Vipassana where you're not allowed to talk.
Right.
I mean, you can't use your phone or anything like that. But just go away for a holiday and think what you want to do. Because when you're distracted in your normal lives, you can never think straight. But when you're mindful, when there's nobody else to disturb, when there's nobody else you know, you could go to the Himalayas, I'm not even saying that, but you could just go for any holiday you want, but just be by yourself. Now, coming back into
That's a fantastic piece of advice, actually.
Yeah.
It's like a pre-sabbatical test.
Absolutely. So you know how it's going to feel like 7-10 days of doing nothing. Take your leave, use your privilege.
Do it alone.
Do it alone.
Yeah.
Very, very important.
Get
Don't
bored.
even get bored.
Yeah.
Don't even join a travel company. Don't even go with family. Don't go with your best buddy. I mean, take permission from your spouses and go away.
Right.
Have your me time if you really like.
Right.
You know,
and maybe you come back saying, I just needed a breather, not a sabbatical.
Absolutely.
Right.
Now, coming back to the numbers, and something pretty much like what Neeraj did, you know, so what happens is most of the times we think sabbatical when we are somewhere midlife and things like that. Early is confusion. If you're like 20 and 25, confusion, go do a holiday anyways. Okay. But when we are thinking about this, by that stage, we have a lot of commitments already sort of lined up for us, right? Now, commitments could be things like your insurance premiums as a very small thing, to maybe your home EMIs that, you know, everybody wants to build a house, so at least you buy your first house and you've got some EMIs going. So those are your commitments. After your commitments, you have your general expenses because you have a family, like you mentioned. You have a family, you've got kids, you've got school fees to pay. So these are secondary commitments, but equally important. And the third, most important area, which most people forget, is your commitments to your future. Okay? Because while you are doing whatever your duty and call of action is, you also have a duty towards yourself. Because, like I say, you can get a loan to do education for your children, but no one's going to give you a loan to retire.
Right.
If you don't have money by then.
That's really disappointing to know. So how to apply?
Yeah, so you have some commitments on all these three levels. So you start putting in a little bit there. Now, when you want to think of a sabbatical, you're looking at your fixed financial commitments. They are not going away anywhere.
Right.
Just because you want to go away, the loan's not going to stop, your EMI is not going to stop, your premium's not going to stop. You may not do tax saving investments. That's different, but whatever has to go will go. So there's a little bit of a fund or a little bit of a calculation that we need to do for that.
Right.
The second level is when you are going to be away, the rest are still going to work.
Yeah.
You're going to take some income out of the household. If you're the single earning guy, you're taking away all the income. If you have double income in your house, then you're taking away your contribution.
True.
Which means you need to have that provision also. So financial provisions, living provisions, and provisions for your future also. Now, once you've done all these three things, then you are technically ready to take a sabbatical.
Okay.
And then you are in a financially stable position.
Right.
In fact, one more little addition, when you are going to take a sabbatical, when you know you're going to take a sabbatical, it's like putting a little bit of extra fund there and saving up from all your beers and saving up from all your weekends. You know, put a little bit extra because you know this is going to be useful when you're not going to have that income.
Love it.
Yes, what I'm visualizing is like, okay, if I go away, there's going to be a hole in my bank account. Will I be able to fill it back once I come back?
That's a tricky one, man.
Yeah.
So there are two things to that. To very quickly answer your question, see, sabbatical also is like a personal goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Now that personal goal could be the nature of a growth goal where I want to learn something new, or it could be some new skill that I'm going to acquire,
Right.
by which my earning potential is going to increase 20% or 50% or 100%, whatever it is. And the third dimension to it is there might be some earnings also. So when I'm doing a sabbatical, and if that sabbatical is, let's say, a teaching assistantship in a foreign university,
Correct.
then I could even be earning something there.
Correct.
So all these three things play.
Yeah.
So yeah, when it's going to be personal growth, there will be a lacuna.
Yeah.
But there are also growth goals where there may not be a lacuna. Or if there's a lacuna, it's going to get filled up faster when you come back.
Yeah.
Or the third is you're not going to be affected because you will take advantage of the dollar and the euros that you might be paid in.
Right.
And while sabbatical also is happening and you're enjoying it, you also have some cash flow coming in, which is going to help your general cash flow.
So that's super. Because I think that there's a value to us. You may get an idea in a sabbatical and completely change the course of your life, and there's a value to that, right?
Absolutely.
If you're running on a treadmill constantly, you don't have any breathing time, but you can't have your cake and sort of eat it too. You have to take that. I think that there's a emotional level of chance you need to take. And the example that you gave me really makes me happy, and I think that's something that can be executed by everyone. Somewhere along the line, everyone, leaving aside the percentage of people who say I need it tomorrow. That's an extreme case.
Yes.
Don't go out eating out every night. Cut back a little bit on stuff. Don't have to micro cutting and
Correct.
keep a fund out, and little by little you'll have a decent amount of money to start like taking sabbaticals.
That's
man.
the
Start
very
doing things.
mummy's way of doing it, right?
I think it's a very
you
smart
cut
way.
out and you
But
save.
it's by the book.
But
Can I share a personal
Yeah,
experience?
please.
See, many years ago I used to be into a corporate work life.
Yeah.
So I was very clear at some point in time I'm starting my own and I'm going to head out on my own. But to head out on my own, I needed a 20 lakh fund.
Okay.
Right. So while I was working, I was doing everything that everyone else does. But then at the same time, I would not splurge away a lot more on the weekend because I had a goal in my mind.
Right.
20 lakhs. And the day I hit 20 lakhs in the bank balance,
Yeah.
I press the exit button and I go form my company.
Right.
Because I need to put some capital inside the company. But again, from the 20 lakhs, I only put in 4 lakhs.
Right.
The rest was my contingency fund.
Right.
What if I don't make money in the next 6 months or 12 months?
Right.
So the whole idea is that was my style of a different sabbatical.
Yeah.
To do what I want to do, to be my own boss,
Yeah.
to control my own time.
Yeah.
And all I had to do is just put in a little bit of fun together and then press the
I
exit
love
button
that
from my
because I don't want
job.
to be on a sabbatical and get a call saying, "भैया ये क्या किया है? पानी नहीं है, घर पे AC नहीं चल रहा है, बेवकूफ वापस आओ." That's a problem.
No, but
But
coming
is
back to
there
what
a-
you were saying,
Yeah.
that even if you, so I was not as planned as him,
Right.
So I did burn a hole in the bank
Yeah.
account, but then got recovered.
It
No,
could-
so
yeah.
I'm sure there must be a smarter way, right? You had one and you have money which is like going out, but there must be a smarter way of making your money work for you so that hole gets filled up faster.
Absolutely.
It's not just about saving and trying to be
And this is
reductionist
a world
mode.
of specialization, Dali. In anything that we are doing, we are as a society, as humanity, we are moving towards an area of specialization. No more is this the time of generalist. If you're a generalist, sooner or later you're going to lose your job, either to somebody smarter or to technology.
Right.
So this is a time of specialization, and these sabbaticals are a fabulous idea. Let it be for a 1 week period, let it be for a 6 month period, but go and build up some skills, go get some growth, get another dimension,
Totally.
get another perspective in whatever you're doing, and suddenly whatever you're delivering on the table becomes 10 times better.
Absolutely, and I think that's a really interesting couple of pointers that you stated. If you guys just joined us, if you want to take a sabbatical, you can start cutting back little bit every single day. Don't go eat out so much, don't spend so much. Have a defined number, which means you take your expenses. If you've got responsibilities, understand that they'll still exist while you're gone on your sabbatical. And I think the one pointer you gave me, which is really good, which is a great sabbatical test, is there is an idea of a sabbatical and then there is a sabbatical, right?
Yes.
So take a 5-10 day trip, take it alone. Don't do anything great during the course of that trip. Don't find ways to entertain yourself. Get bored and listen to your core, and you may come back saying, I don't really need one or need one. You'll have the answer pretty clear to you.
Absolutely.
What were your biggest fears? What were your biggest fears when you didn't act on it? You were single at that point in time, so you didn't have family responsibilities.
Right. Many
Apart
kind of
from-
fears. One, that okay, what if I don't have money coming back again, and then you already by that time used to a certain way of living. You already have a car and whatever, so you already used to a certain way of living. Two, there's also that social fear, right? Everyone's working, and then to say, oh, I don't have a job, makes you feel like a bit of a loser.
right.
Standing
Honestly,
in the balcony
honestly.
at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, makes you feel like a bit of a loser when you're like
Or a
pretending
winner.
to be. No, I think
Yeah.
not, because see, that sabbatical is a one-time thing. It's a tactical thing, but there's so much of life ahead of you,
Exactly.
and common sense tells you that that you're going to need money for that. So, is there a way? Is there some magic formula that even while I'm gone, my money somewhere works smarter for me? Is there a way to do that? Does
Oh,
it need to
that's,
deplete, or it can also keep working for itself?
That is just, that's so easy to answer. For example, today, we've been sending out messages to so many of our clients. Yesterday, we made 4 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 2 lakhs, 10 lakhs, depending on the portfolios. So what they've done is, they've built their portfolios over a period of time. Now their money is working smarter. Luckily, we are on a day where we've had one of the best days of the stock market just yesterday. And their money just worked for
There
them.
are people taking a sabbatical today like they've never taken
Yeah.
Maybe they earned half the year's salary or whole year's salary like one day. But then, of course, Rome was not built in a day. They took some time. So, what happens is, there's that very ancient mantra, if you like, that whenever you think about money, the first thing you must do with money is pay yourself. We forget to pay ourselves. We go out and pay everybody else. We pay our bills, we pay the restaurant guy, we pay the bar guy, we pay everybody. We don't pay ourselves. The moment we start paying ourselves, and we make that as the philosophy of life, whatever I earn, I pay myself first.
Wow.
Do 10%. Do like 500 rupees. You're doing a disservice. It's like an insult to your life if you can't do 500 rupees,
Right.
So do something for yourself.
So write yourself a check every month.
Write yourself a check. And how do I write
Check.
a check? Put something aside. So when you are faced in a situation where there is fear, there is anxiety, there is a kind of a stress. What if I don't get a job back?
Yeah.
What if the market has changed? And this happens to a lot of women, who go through a pregnancy and then, that's almost like a year or 2 years of a break.
True.
And then they're not sure what they're going to get back. And there are so many people I've seen, they don't get back for 3 years, 4 years. Not that they are not capable, not that they are not trying, but it's just that dynamics have changed.
Yeah.
And it's also our Indian mindset. It's really terrible sometimes, I feel, that, the company says, you are not in sync with what's happening. What is there to not be in sync?
Absolutely.
You can just get back 3 months, you'll just be on the job, you'll learn it and you'll be delivering.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, people don't want to hire. So your fear is absolutely well-founded.
Yeah.
It's a well-founded Indian fear, more than
Absolutely.
more than a Western sort of fear, which is also of being left out of society's big circle.
Indeed.
It's almost like the people who take a sabbatical. There's a ideology behind the fact that they just plugged out of the system or they gave up.
Absolutely.
There's no understanding of the fact that it could be a very, very great psychological jump for you.
Correct.
So we've been talking a lot about long-term planning towards it. One great point you've given again is why not pay yourself a small amount of salary every single month and save that up. Then you're not even getting in other people's way.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And then that can fund it. So say you've got 15 lakh rupees that you've decided you need for a sabbatical.
True.
You give yourself a salary, 5% of what you earn every single month, hit that number and get out.
Exactly.
And that's a
going to
responsible way of doing it.
That might take a couple of years or maybe
It's
more.
not so difficult. Even if you did a 10,000 rupees, let's just think about
Okay,
this
let's
way.
take a number.
Let's say you did 10,000 rupees.
Okay,
right?
a month.
I think 15 lakhs is a good number. For a year, in today's day and age, one would probably need that to have a decent standard of living.
How much is the number that you said?
15.
15.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just go 10. It's
Okay.
just simple.
Okay.
Right.
Simplicity.
Okay.
So 10 into 12, 1,20,000.
A year.
Okay. Forget about returns. Let's just make it very simple for everybody who's watching it.
Right.
10,000 a month in a year is going to be 1,20,000.
Okay.
You do it for 3 years, 3,60,000.
Yep.
Now, we are living in such a beautiful world of technology. You open your net banking site, open your app in your phone, you'll find pre-approved loans. And, to raise 5 to 10 lakh rupees is not a big deal at all. Now, 3.5 lakhs, if you're a single person, I think that's enough money for you to have a shoestring budget, have a little bit of a time out, whether you're sitting in your home or whether you're going somewhere else, living somewhere else. And there are so many places in India you can go and it really costs you nothing to live there. You can give service into an ashram, you could give service into
Absolutely.
a temple. You want to be by yourself, get ideas, and when you are cutting out the rest of the world, that's when ideas will come.
Right.
When there's so much of noise coming in, no idea will ever come to you.
Yeah, have a plan. You can live pretty cheap. You don't have to go crazy. It's not a luxury sabbatical. You know what I mean? You can do it right. And I completely agree with you. Tell me something. Do you think there should be a a sabbatical fund, they have funds for everything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They have zero loans for a sabbatical,
Yeah.
even though it could be a great value addition to your business. There are
Absolutely.
businesses that tell people, go take a year off, come back with ideas, right?
Right.
Do you think we could actually have a sabbatical fund? Like a
We
mutual
can.
fund for sabbatical?
we can. But there's a simpler option.
Okay.
I mean, why wait for the industry to create it for you? Why not have your little pocket diary and say that, okay, whatever I'm investing into, this XYZ recurring deposit is my sabbatical fund. Whatever, say, just for a namesake, I have an ICICI bank account. So whatever I put, or open a new account, whatever I put in this account, recurring deposit every month, 5,000, is my sabbatical fund.
Okay.
Whatever I'm putting into XYZ mutual fund is my children's fund. You can label it yourself. It's
Okay.
just a question of labels, right?
Right.
So why wait for somebody else to create it? Start creating it now.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. I may sound stupid here, but I'm just going to say it. So supposing I want to take a sabbatical, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to invest in the stock market.
Yes.
I don't want to invest in any investment that may go up and down.
Sure.
What if my sabbatical time has come, the market's gone down? Now I got no money.
Absolutely.
What do you think are the some expenses, some investments that a person can take if they don't want to risk it out?
Okay, so let's have a general rule first. Let's first understand a basic rule of investing in the stock market, okay? Now, I don't want to give an educational lecture, but one simple line here. If you are going to have your money put away for 5 years or more, then touch the equity market. Otherwise, don't even touch it.
Okay.
Okay, so that clears the confusion.
5 years or out?
5 years or no. I mean,
Right.
0 or 1, binary situation.
Right.
You need your money after 5 years, consider the stock market, otherwise forget about it.
Okay.
Now, what else do you have? You've got fixed deposits, you've got recurring deposits, you've got things like PPF, but now I'm not saying PPF because it needs to run for a certain number of years before you can pull out from there. So what we are talking about for everyone is something which is called fixed income or a fixed interest investment.
Okay.
An investment like a fixed deposit, like your savings account, which gives you a fixed interest over a period of time.
Yeah.
So if it's 1 year, there's no question of you doing anything other than this.
Okay, if it's 1 year, what should I do?
Recurring deposit in the bank. You have smart bank accounts these days, right? Whatever is your balance, they move a big chunk of it and give you a higher rate of interest on that, and they give you maybe 10,000-20,000 rupees in your regular savings side of the account, if you like, and that's at the regular.
Is this like a
thing.
liquid fund?
It's not like a liquid
Okay.
fund. They have different brand names, but the principal concept, Cyrus, here is I have 1 lakh rupees, for example, in my bank account. So 10,000 is meant for my withdrawals or whatever. They will automatically shift 90,000 into a deposit which is earning 6% or 7%.
Right.
But if I went to the ATM and I withdrew 15,000, I'd happily get it.
Right.
So the 90,000 deposit would get broken.
Right.
But honored for that 20 days that I kept it.
Right.
And now 80,000 will be in the deposit.
Okay.
So it's a brilliant idea.
Write that down. That's a great one. In case you guys joined in, a quick summary. If you're planning a sabbatical in a year or so, if you don't have a 5-year horizon, don't get into the stock market, don't get into the mutual fund market. They have smart accounts, they have various other aspects of things which we're going to try to get into,
Absolutely.
which is short term. You're not going to make huge profits, but you
So
make
don't be also
consistent profit.
greedy about it.
Yeah,
right?
you can't
just
say, "I
because
want
your friends
20%.
are saying, just because somebody else say, you've got to have your objective very, very clear.
Right.
You want the money in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, forget about the stock market. Don't even talk about it. Don't even touch it.
Right.
Then
right.
sleep easy and sleep peacefully.
Right, and that's a 1-year horizon.
So just to add, I did go for that account that you're talking about.
Fabulous.
So
Oh.
that was
It's a smart account.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could have taken a smart account and it could have solved your problem for
At that
for
time,
this
yeah.
aspect.
At that time, yeah. When I was younger and single, yeah. Now maybe I need something more advanced, something that gives a little bit more.
I believe, Dali, opportunities always exist. They're always there. The dimension of the opportunity changes. So if you didn't take a sabbatical at that time, there's nothing to worry. Take it now. Because the impact that you will make to your life now with experience, learning and maturity is going to be so much
Far
more
more.
of a multiplier.
Sure.
Right.
So take the sabbatical now. Don't worry about it. Whatever you do, you'll come back and you'll make your life better. Because everybody needs to disconnect. And that's very important to connect back to everyone else.
Dali, you're
Yeah,
just,
I
gotta
just don't
get out
want
of
to.
this mindset, guys.
I don't want to have one life full of beautiful Instagram and then the next year, like, there's nothing to
But
show
that's
on that.
perfectly-
Yeah,
you may
right.
come back with amazing
Yeah.
stuff, and it's
Yeah.
not a bad idea to have beautiful Instagram
Yeah,
also for a year.
really.
And you also spoke about a very Indian insight about
Yeah.
the society. And
Yeah, really.
society.
It's true. It's
You
true.
called people who took a sabbatical like a bit of a loser gang.
No, if you
That's
don't
an
come
Indian
back,
mindset.
if you don't come back.
Why? Many people don't come back and start another business.
Yeah, you might get some fantastic
Yeah.
ideas, and you might
Right.
think, that the ideas by just taking Instagram pictures could turn into a fabulous
Okay.
business.
There are people making millions
Millions out
of
of that.
dollars. There's a kid who reviews toys on the internet
Yeah,
and makes
Ryan.
110 million
Yeah,
a year.
Ryan,
There you
Ryan,
go.
yeah.
You know,
So
maybe
you might
it's-
just
yeah.
discover something unique.
Yeah. Here's another quick
I
question. Did you take any travel insurance? Did you take any personal insurance, Mediclaim, and stuff like that while you took a sabbatical?
Not extra one,
Okay.
but like you mentioned that there are the premiums that were to go.
Yeah.
So I already had some insurance
Correct.
that was in place. So
Right.
that was another safety net because I had taken the earlier days ULIP, investment linked plans.
Right,
so,
right.
So there was some investment kept out there. So there were little bits of investments that were there, but the insurance premium had to still go.
Right.
So actually towards the end of my sabbatical, that was the toughest part because suddenly all your premiums are towards the end of March.
Yeah.
And they all go together.
Right.
So I didn't realize that how much my bank balance had eroded
Right.
till those final premiums finally went.
Right.
And I was lucky enough to come back to the jobs.
I'm so happy you mentioned about insurance.
Yeah.
I never even thought about
No,
insurance.
because it's an important part. Also,
Very important.
I never
also
thought
for
about
people
insurance.
who are single, I'm saying in your early 20s, mid 20s, you want to take a sabbatical. Do you need to take medical insurance? What are you climbing a mountain? You
Yeah.
fall off. You've got suddenly a 30 lakh rupee bill or 20 lakh rupee bill.
Absolutely.
How important is that when you want to take a sabbatical?
It's actually absolutely essential.
It's essential.
Crucial.
Okay.
Absolutely, right? So here's an insurance plan for everybody. Okay. Number one is health insurance. You don't even move without a health insurance because, God forbid, if something happened to you in terms of health or even to your family member, your sabbatical and everything else that you're going to do for the next 10 years can go for a toss. So your health insurance. Now, what's the amount that we're talking about? At least about 15 to 20 lakhs if you're living in a large city like a Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, Ahmedabad,
Right.
Calcutta, Chennai, etc. If you're living in a smaller city, maybe a little lesser, 10 to 15 lakhs. But a floater policy covering your whole family, absolutely essential. So do get your health insurance in order.
And buy a direct health insurance, not like some tie-in thing, right?
No, a floater policy.
What's a floater policy?
So direct, there are two types.
Okay.
One, you buy an insurance is just on yourself for your
Yes.
own benefit. But if you have a family, then you buy a family floater. It's cheaper, cost effective,
And works for everyone.
And works for everyone.
So there's a
everybody's in
15
the
lakh
pool.
fund everyone can access.
Anyone can use any amount of that fund. So that's a great idea. So get your health insurance, number one. Number two, life insurance. See, life is uncertain. You are not working. If you are the primary earning person of your family, and if something were to happen to you, then I think it's extremely important that you have a health insurance back. A life insurance back to cover you, so that your family gets that benefit in case you're not there.
Right.
Just in case something happened, you went on a bungee jump and I mean, I dread to even think about it. I mean, I'm scared about a bungee jump, but
He's like 10 policies.
So anyway, I mean, that's a risk, right? Risk to life. But health insurance and life insurance, I don't think you do anything. You don't even move without these two things.
Okay,
because
these
they
are necessary.
These are like
aspects to
absolutely
think of.
mandatory. There's a third angle to insurance also, which I want to talk for a lot of people. In my experience of the last 20 years of doing financial planning for people, I've seen a lot of people, and I'm willing to even bet on this, that 90% of the people have the wrong policy. All right? And 90% of these people who have the wrong policies are paying a hell of a lot of premium for those policies. Now, if you want to unlock your cash flow and use it productively, then there are restructuring possibilities in a contract. An insurance contract is not something that you are married to for life and you have to, for example, keep paying forever. You can restructure, you can modify. It's a contract. Contracts are malleable. You can change them, you can modify them, you can restructure them. Do take advantage of that. By doing that, you'll unlock so much of productive cash flow, which can go into a recurring deposit, or if you don't need that money, it could go to an SIP, and which will create tons of wealth for you over a period of time.
So you said SIP and this mutual fund sahi hai has been going on and on, and it makes you feel that am I missing out? I don't have anything. Should I be having something? But then I tried going to money control, and I'm like, okay, all these statistics are there, but how to really evaluate them? Does it actually work as to what it says on the site? How does this, like a layman, sort of wade through all of that?
Okay, tangent. I'm going to take you on a slight tangent to understand this, okay? All of that you're looking is noise.
Oh, okay.
Understand, what are you doing? You are investing into a business. When you give money to a mutual fund, equity mutual fund, that equity mutual fund is going to go and buy some businesses, some companies for you. Now, if you were to start your own company tomorrow, and if you had, let's say, 1 crore as a fund, you have two choices: starting a company And you would only do that if you're going to make more than the fixed deposit. The fixed deposit
Right.
gives you 7%. So you could just give the money to a bank, enjoy your 7% and have a great life. But you'll think, no, I'm smart. And if I have 1 crore, I can generate 25% if I did this business. Now, every guy who is in that business is also thinking that way. And that's why he is in a business. And that's why businesses happen. Otherwise, everybody would just happily keep their money in a fixed deposit at 6-7% and no one would do business. So the basis of business is that you're going to make these returns.
Right.
Because these returns are going to happen, you give the money to a mutual fund because you don't have the time to analyze
True.
a company, invest directly.
Absolutely.
The mutual funds deliver for you. So yes, mutual funds sahi hai. But if you do it in the sahi formula, if you do it based on formula of 100 people and
Yeah.
whims and fancies, it doesn't work.
Right.
Like, every drop will build your ocean. So
Yeah.
if you're going to do SIPs, small drops, but 10 years time,
Yeah.
it'll be a huge
And he
pot.
said, if you don't have a 5-year horizon, don't do
Don't
it.
do it at all.
Okay.
If you can't look every week and say, hey,
Oh, absolutely.
500 कम हो गए. Scam. You can't have that. You can get
You
paranoid.
can't have that mentality. You will get mental,
Stressed out,
and
yeah.
which is why a lot of people get in at the time there is euphoria and everybody is talking about stock market. That time you start,
Right.
and when the markets fall, you are the first ones to jump off the
Hey,
ship.
I also
Right.
got some Bitcoin, yeah. So don't tell me anything.
You are.
Okay,
You are
let's
going
not talk about that right now.
FOMO
and then I
investment
say,
policies.
and then I say I don't have money for sabbatical because like
you
all
have
this
not
stuff.
taken a sabbatical, but you have money for
You
a
know,
Bitcoin.
because some
What is
friends were
happening?
telling me.
No, do a good investment. A good blue chip investment will multiply forever and ever.
Right.
It's like growing a tree. You sow a nice little seed, and the tree will grow. It's going to take time. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but it'll have fruits. You can enjoy your life with those fruits, and your children also can if you really build a nice big tree. You'll never be short of money, and you can have a life which is a sabbatical.
So here's one more question I want to ask you. What if there's such a large population of people in India who have taken on professions primarily because the parents thought so,
Yeah.
or society says, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You got to get a regular job. Who follows their dreams of pottery? Blah blah blah. And supposing I want to do that and I want to take a sabbatical.
Yeah.
I don't have a family to worry about. Is it okay? Can I borrow money? Can I take a personal loan if I want to take a sabbatical? And I do believe emotionally it will value add to my life dramatically.
So
Is it okay? Would you?
let's put it as a yes and no.
Okay.
Principally, no. The reason is because it's like you're running a race. You're trying to move forward, but you're actually going 100 steps before the starting line already. So when you take a sabbatical, or when we are doing something positive in life, you need to be at the starting point and move forward. But imagine a 100-meter race and you're starting from -50. So you want to take longer to reach there because you've got this liability, pressure and burden. And remember, psychologically liability plays on your mind, does not let you sleep easy because no
Yeah.
one's going to give you a moratorium, number one.
Right, that's true.
See, when you are a student and when you take an education loan and when you're in college, the banks understand that you're in college and you're in a good college. Once you come out, you'll have a good salary, so you'll repay them back.
Yeah, you
so
want to take a
that's the-
sabbatical?
yeah, and that's the only time you get a moratorium.
Yeah.
For no other loan, you get a moratorium, right? So principally, if you can afford it, don't do that. Build it up over a period of time,
Right.
and then do it. But now, if you have to do it, now that's a calculated decision, and everything in life is a little bit of a calculated risk, right? So you take the loan. Now, if you take a 5 lakh loan, the first thing you have to think to yourself is, are you doing it for a personal growth? Then it's pure pleasure and nothing else, and you're going to get back to work. But otherwise, you got to think like a businessman. You got to think in terms of profit and loss. If I'm going to take a 5 lakh loan today, when I get back to my life, am I going to make 15 lakhs out of that? If the answer is yes, go ahead and do it. Now comes the method of taking that loan.
Yes.
Okay. So the easiest loan that you can do is these days on your app and in your net banking, you can see pre-approved offers. Those are
Right.
normally quite cheap. The kind of loan I personally like is something called loan against securities.
Okay.
But then it sort of boils down back to having a portfolio first.
Right.
So if you have a portfolio, the beautiful thing is that you pledge that portfolio of shares or mutual funds, okay, and you are only obliged to pay the interest. Your principal you can pay at leisure. Or even if you did pay and if you really defaulted, they'll sell off your stocks or they'll sell your mutual fund and they'll repay themselves. But the beauty of it, think about it this way. You take a 10 lakh loan, for
Okay.
example, a loan against security, and in that 10 lakh loan, let's say the interest rate is 10%. Simplicity.
Okay.
So it's a lakh of rupees of interest for a year.
Right.
Divide that by 12, and what you're paying is about 8,000 and a few $100 on that.
Right.
How easy is that?
The price of my sabbatical.
Price of your sabbatical.
not
It's
so bad.
so easy on your pocket.
Right.
But that's the best loan to have.
Right.
So you build up your portfolio a little bit, pledge it. Your portfolio is also moving up, and you're enjoying your sabbatical as well.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can
That
you
really
tell us,
sounds like a plan,
in case you guys are interested in this one, I'm going to ask you just tell us which one that is so
Yep.
people can actually write it down.
So I don't want to get into a product
No,
recommendation.
not a product, but the genre.
It's called loan against securities.
Okay.
Now the brand name could be different, but most banks, in my opinion, offer this thing.
Okay.
Okay, you just have to check out a little
Any
bit.
dodgy loopholes in that we should be careful of?
No, it's very simple. It's very straightforward. Okay, now let's put it this way. If you bought a share on a tip of your neighbor, and if that share is not like a good blue chip listed company, then they will not take that as a security. That's
Okay.
the only loophole if you like.
No, okay.
But I really love this loan type because you can pay when you want, but you just have to pay them interest.
Right.
Beautiful, right?
Right.
So loan against security is a great idea. If you don't have a portfolio, what do? You take a personal loan.
Yeah,
I
personal
mean,
loan is obviously higher interest.
it's higher interest rate,
Right.
it's expensive, and the tenure that you have is only 2 or 3 years, things
Shucks.
like that. So
Yeah.
it's like really
Yeah.
bad.
So there's no loan which is like a sabbatical type loan where you say, okay, you take a sabbatical and you start paying us after you
After
come
a
back 1 year later. could happen.
Yeah, those
There's
loans
nothing-
can be taken from your dad, from your mother, from your best friend, from your best buddy.
Right.
But it's
yeah,
possible, right?
It's possible, right?
It's possible,
Dali, does that solve the fear for you, or would you be someone who would actually take a loan? Say you need it. You have a number in your head, right?
I
You
have a
had
number in
20
my
lakhs.
head. Yeah.
in your
But
head.
sir, it's just a little thing before, sorry to interrupt, but there's a word of caution here, serious caution, okay? Guys, do not spend on your credit card. Don't spend on that, because credit card loans can get, see, when you spend on a credit card, it's technically a loan, and that loan is for 30 days. So if you pay your credit card bill on time, then you've closed the loan without any damage to yourself. But even if you didn't pay 5 rupees out of that money spent, you get hit with like 3.5% a month, which is 40% interest a year, which is insane. So do not do a credit card loan. If you have no option, okay, wait, do a friendly loan, do whatever it needs to be done. But you've got your LAS, you've got your personal loans, you've got, sometimes you have a home loan, right? Real estate prices gone up, you can maybe take a little bit of a top-up loan. It's not going to hurt you so much, but that's even an option for you.
Is that a lower rate of interest?
Yeah, much lower than the personal loan. So
Okay.
you could do a little bit of a top-up if they allow you to do that.
Okay.
Right? Often they give it for interiors and for enhancement. But if you say, I want a little extra loan, not such a big problem.
Right.
And if the bank is willing to give, even that's an idea to explore.
It's an idea
Sorry,
to explore.
you had a number in
Any
mind.
other do nots?
Largely credit card. Do not take
Do not
credit.
touch that credit
Okay,
card, yeah.
maybe one more. Do not
pay it on time.
When
Yeah,
you
pay it.
borrow from friends and family, please respect it. Do not take that casually, because when you borrow from friends and family, that's a beautiful window that somebody has opened for you in this world. Be gracious about it, thank them, and at the first possible opportunity, pay them back, because then you want to leave that window open forever. You don't want someone to have a sour heart saying that you didn't pay on time, or I helped you but you never sort of gave it back on time. So
Right.
don't ever do that.
Wow, these are the two major ones to
things,
watch out for.
Yeah.
So that's any other? Do you think any other fears that would block you right now from taking it? There have been a lot of options that have opened up for you, darling.
Yeah, but still, if I could have like a more all-round thing of how to make it work, so that the lowest common denominator, there's, let's say X, there's a recurring deposit, and then
That's
one
right.
could probably explore some mutual fund, but that takes a longer horizon.
Tell me something
but
specific. What are you looking
Yeah.
at? Do you have a number in your mind? Do you have a plan? Are you going to take up a course, or are you
Yep.
going to do some voluntary work? What do you exactly? If you can give us a little highlight on that.
The plan, and this has always been the plan, which just keeps getting pushed forward, is to take a program at London College of Fashion.
Okay.
It's more of a personal growth kind
Sure.
of a thing. It's not
Sure.
not related to anything else. So that will cost money. The cost of living in a foreign city all by
Yes.
yourself, that will take some money. There are some costs which will keep going on while I'm
Of course. Of course.
even when I'm not here. So I feel that if I have 15 lakhs in a year, if I have 15 lakhs, like I'm saying, without it burning away,
Yeah.
then I'd get the confidence to take that leap.
Okay. And do you have a time period by which you have to do it, or high time, or is it now?
No,
Ideally-
I'm one of those practical people. I'm not very pro risk. I'm willing to say, okay, I'll work towards it. I'll work towards it for like a year or so, and then and I'll do it like in a calm and structured manner, so that I have no fears and no anxieties while I'm gone. That, oh my God, did I do this right? And I should have done this, and I should have done that. I'd rather plan for it and do it in a well structured manner.
Okay, so Dari, I want to bring in the angle of tax into this whole thing. Okay, see what happens is when we are tax and inflation both actually. So whenever we're looking at any number, by the time the time comes to spend that money, sometimes it rises in cost, and that's because of inflation. The other thing is, whenever we are providing for something, we need to budget for a little higher, because when we get that money, the government of India will want its share out of that. So, the tax is going to go away.
On my sabbatical?
Well, I mean, from everything, right?
They should be paying us, like for that time. We pay taxes, give us some
But
back.
you won't be paying
but that's a
taxes
great
for the
point.
sabbatical.
That's a really great point.
So when you are saying you're looking at 15 lakhs, my thing is look for 20.
Correct.
Okay?
Given inflation, given taxes.
Given inflation, given tax. See, taxes straight away. If you get 20,
30%,
and if you are, let's say, 20% tax, you're going to be left with 16. So, and then 15 to 16 is a little bit of inflation adjustment.
So
if you like.
that's what happens. The target just keeps moving. It just keeps moving. You never really know
we
how to.
overestimate the target. So we always overestimate expenses. We always underestimate the inflows, and that way we have cushions everywhere. So when we have to really spend the money, and when we are faced with a situation of doing and managing the math, we don't get hit or we don't get surprised, and things don't get postponed in life for us.
Yeah, but he also stated that you need to understand that when you're taking the sabbatical, you cut back on the basic living expenses.
Absolutely.
You don't live like a king. You don't make certain choices, and you make them differently. So actually, your day-to-day expenses are also lessening.
So it's a practical
It's a two-way.
plan. It's not a romantic thought of one day I will just walk away.
If I were to ask,
It's a practical plan to make your romantic plans work.
Yeah. It's a very simple question. Do you think you can make space for about 60,000 a month?
Hell no. I could make 30.
Okay.
30, 40, yeah.
Okay, so 30, 40, and
I could save that much, right?
So
I
let's
could
just
save that
multiply it
much.
by 12 so that everybody understands and you understand without putting in complex mathematics.
Yeah.
So if you can do 30,000 a month, it's 3,60,000 a year.
Right.
And in 3 years, you'll be sitting on about 11 lakhs.
Okay.
And I've not even taken interest into consideration.
Right.
Say with interest, it'll become 12,
12.
13. So you're kind of near that figure. Assuming that in the next year and the year after that, your income will also rise a little bit. You might even get a bonus somewhere down the line. You might even do some restructuring of policies if you have, or you might do some restructuring of some expenses. Maybe instead of if you like to go out to expensive restaurants, maybe you'll go there twice instead of like 5 times, something like that. Because somewhere you need to. There is always a give and take, right? So you give something to get something back. I mean, there's a law of life. What you do. So when you do this kind of a little bit of replanning, maybe your 30,000-40,000 budget can be pushed to about 45 or 50, and you'll be at 15 lakhs very easily in 3 years' time.
3 years' time.
That's it. You first thought of a sabbatical 10 years ago?
Yeah.
It's been 10 years. We've got 3 years. We've broken it down to 3 years. Given inflation and everything,
Absolutely,
actually. 10 years ago, 15 lakhs value was about 20 lakhs. Yeah. It's
But
totally possible.
it sounds like it can be done
totally
if you break it down into
there are
chunks
11
and
different
yeah.
variables.
And we are
you've
talking
given.
of a very, very simple thing.
Yeah.
A simple recurring deposit. So for everyone who's looking at it, do it in a recurring deposit. I mean, there's no rocket science about it. Very simple, right?
Yeah.
You can do something better also. There are some better options for you. You can go into what is known as a liquid fund or a short-term fund. So that is a part of a mutual fund, but that's not an equity fund. So what these guys do is when you give them money, they take your money, and that money they invest into a range of fixed interest investments. Example, Government of India bonds, state government bonds. They invest in company fixed deposits, they invest in bank fixed deposits, they invest in RBI securities. All of these are something which pays you an interest for making an investment. So now instead of you making all these investments yourself, and some of them could have very high levels of ticket price to even invest in, give it to a mutual fund, 10,000
Liquid fund.
a liquid fund,
And
a
this,
short-term fund.
this doesn't need to be timed.
No,
or any such thing.
there's no
This is
question
across the
time.
board. Read
Just
up on it. Yeah.
See, the advantage of doing that is it's going out of your bank account electronically, automatically, on a fixed date every month. and it instills a lot of financial discipline in your life, and automatically, your sabbatical fund is getting ready.
There you go. He said you're making your own sabbatical fund.
I think this is now suddenly becoming bite-sized chunks which can be done versus like one big number, which sounds like so
and
hard
for the
to
people
achieve.
who have a larger amount of money available right now, let's say you have some savings of 10 lakhs or 20 lakhs you've already made. There's something called direct bonds also, right?
Okay.
Now what happens is, this is a little interesting. You can make a fixed deposit. You have a choice of doing that, and you'll get the 6-7% on a fixed deposit that's available in the market. You can also buy a bond of that bank. But the ticket size for that normally is 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 40 lakhs sometimes. Sometimes for a small amount it's not available. But if you had 20 lakhs, you could buy an RBI bond paying you 6.5%. It's as good as earning 10%. Or you could buy a State Bank of India bond, or you could buy a Bank of Baroda bond. Typically these bonds give you 1 to 2% more than your fixed deposit. Okay. They change in price a little bit, but don't get worried too much about it. They can move about 2 to 3%, 5% sometimes in capital value. But broadly speaking, if you're going to hold it for 3 years, 5 years, you're okay. You're immune to it. So you could buy that, but you have to buy that through a stockbroker from the stock exchange. So the stock exchange does not only give you shares, it also gives you these beautiful bond opportunities to invest in. And nowhere we are talking about risk, nowhere we are talking about volatility, nowhere we are talking about losing your money.
I had no idea of this.
Yeah, I had no idea at all.
These are simple, easy to do things. You can do it yourself. And if you have a financial advisor, well, it's a good idea to consult somebody before you take the plunge on your own.
There you go. There's a lot of options. I'm curious with you, now that you've taken a sabbatical, A, would you do it again? And B, did you at some level think you were overcautious?
No, actually.
Would you do it again first?
So, yeah, maybe. But I'll be more planned. So it's good to know about all these other instruments. So as you're talking about, maybe some things just happened to me. So insurance restructuring is something that I did do.
Fabulous.
So health insurance is something that I did do. So there were some things that just happened. So I didn't consciously go around doing them.
Right.
But the other options that you're talking about, like these RBI bonds, because I did have a corpus with me, but I didn't. I just put it in fixed deposit, just for safety's sake,
right?
And that's the only interest that I got.
That's all right. I mean, you did something. That's important,
right?
Because while you were doing your sabbatical, your money was also making money. It's not important how much,
right?
Because everyone's not expected to know everything, but at least you did something. Versus, I mean, I'm so happy. Versus somebody who would actually blown away all that money.
Right.
I mean, you did something. You sort of were a bit of a visionary. When you did this, you were thinking about your future. You were saying, let me sort of use my sabbatical as a as a place where I'm going to leapfrog into the future and also have a backup. Brilliant plan.
Yeah, especially in a world where we're born, we go to school, we get an education, and spend the rest of our working lives either getting work, keeping work, or looking for work. I mean, it's important to take that time out. What's been your biggest learning or the best thing that happened to you after the sabbatical?
So the thing that she was talking about, the social aspect of people that you're not working. So actually, I felt good about that. That's exactly that you said. You look at other people's lives and you see what's happening, and so I felt good, and I would look at people who are coming back from work so late in the night, or they're leaving very early in the morning. In the afternoon, I'm coming back from my gym at 1 p.m.
No, I'll tell you what. No. The idea of a job really gives you a sense of security and gives you a position from which you can, do certain things. Yeah,
but this gives you the sense of freedom.
Right. At 4 p.m., I'm there to pick up my daughter from a bus stop.
It's priceless.
It's priceless.
So you go for a visa and you have your company application or whatever. It says much more than you're trying to I'm on a break or whatever. It does matter. It does matter.
I really
Maybe
don't
imagine.
think so. I think you've got the mindset that you need to rearrange because eventually every single thing that an individual is doing in their life is to feel like that. That I can wake up one morning and I don't have to go to work, and it's my choice. It's basically a want and desire for safety and control.
Yes.
And another thing I found very interesting, and why I find sabbaticals fascinating, is in the world, most people wait to live all their dreams post-retirement, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes by that point in time, they're too tired, or they're too worn out, or they're too old to actually live it. And so the smarter way of doing it, maybe to live out your breaks and your sabbaticals through your life,
very
through the
successful.
working
So
life.
true,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
So true.
So taking at 40 and taking 6 months off at 40 and traveling all of, say, Europe, if it's a dream, is better than doing it at 70, where you're too tired, your legs hurt, you can't walk 10 kilometers a day.
Completely.
So it's just the mindset.
That's where I'm
You need
at.
to
Yeah.
change
I feel like, life's going by so fast. Yeah, we're already half the year's over, and you feel like every year you're like, yeah, maybe I'll think about it next year. Maybe I'll do it. That maybe
Right.
just not happening.
Because we're stuck in a sort of productivity loop.
Yeah.
Which just
A
keeps
vicious
feeding the
cycle.
other.
I mean,
and
every morning just ask yourself, if not now, then when?
Yeah. Man, I've spent this 10 days I was sitting at home doing nothing, right? And I spent all 10 days thinking I should take a holiday. But I didn't do it. Because I'm thinking, oh, maybe there's something, or maybe I should just be here. And it's such a bad habit we've all picked up, right? You could have lived those 10 days well. You could have had fun, come back wanting to work harder.
Absolutely.
And it's just you gotta jump out of the mindset. And we have access to people like you, who are practical mentors who are saying, man, you can totally do it.
Absolutely.
Stop thinking you can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I really appreciate it. And it's not that much of an issue.
It's not an issue at all. It's really simple. I mean, anyone can really do it.
Yeah.
And just to do the testing the waters, go take a 1 week holiday by yourself.
Yeah, for anybody who's just sort of joined in, we've been talking about sabbaticals. There have been some wonderful conversations about the fears of taking one, vis-a-vis someone who's already taken one and looks very happy about it, and the wonderful tips that you gave us. Could you just really fast round up the sabbatical test that you should do for yourself?
Yes.
B, a couple of small ways of forming almost a formula for yourself about how you should take a sabbatical, and C, I'm going to cover it right now, which is that before you take a sabbatical, you have to take what do you call it? Medical insurance.
Yes, the health insurance.
And a health insurance, right? So what are the other things you must do? You must...
Number one, the purpose of your sabbatical
Right.
and what's going to be the outcome out of it. These two things need to be very clear. Don't need to spend a lot of time, but whatever is the purpose of your sabbatical, and once you do it, what's going to be the outcome. Once you've done that, then look at your basic finances, look at your fixed deposits, look at your cash in the bank, look at all the other assets that you have, put them together. Don't count your real estate, don't count your home, don't count your car, put everything together and see what's the backup fund that you have. Then you figure out if that fund is enough for 1 year or 6 months or 2 years, go ahead and take the plunge. If you really need to take a loan, do that. But to decide all of these things, take my pre-sabbatical portion. That's the best thing that I do. Make it a religion. Every year, go away for a week, do whatever you want. I mean, sit on Chapati Beach if you want, but do whatever you want, be alone. That's very important because that is what will actually help you plan whether it's a sabbatical or whether it's the next 6 months or whether it's your life or whatever you want.
Wow, that's super, super nice. And for you, any things that you would feel you should tell people who are worried about taking one? Any aspects that you'd like to just cover?
So I think we learned a lot about the instruments that can give you the confidence and that can help you plan that. So
Absolutely.
I
Practically
think
implement it, right? Yeah.
right. And more importantly, you have to, decide that there are just two ways about it. Either you continue and you keep on thinking when you'll do, or take the plunge. So I was not completely planned, is what I realized today. But I did my bits and pieces. I did the bits that came naturally to me, and I survived. And I got energized. That has given me the push for the last three years that I'm forging ahead. And
Absolutely.
I guess
it's a recharge mechanism.
It is a recharge mechanism, right?
Yeah. And I think the good thing is, now I think if there is a plan, then you go, you do what you wanted to do, at least you won't question yourself saying, I wish I hadn't done that.
Absolutely.
Whereas I want to say, damn, I wish I had done that.
Absolutely.
Right?
Get it out of the... put it down on a piece of paper. This is what I want to do, or this is what I have to achieve. And once you have it, it has to be ticked off the list. It's only a question of when. And opportunities are easily available. Money is easily available. I mean, generally speaking, if you are a little careful, if you look at your email, you look at your apps, there's money floating all around you. Worst case scenario, if you have to really do that and you have a fantastic idea for your sabbatical, don't postpone it. If you have to do it in today's world, if you can enhance yourself, make yourself a specialist. If you are getting an opportunity to leapfrog and plunge ahead, you are wasting time by thinking about not doing it.
Absolutely. Also, I really, really like the one point you you mentioned earlier, if you guys have just joined in, it's really imperative, A, for your morale, B, for your own wants, desires, ambitions, to give yourself a little bit of a salary every month. It could be a very small percentage of your income, but it's necessary to do so to enhance the other things that you want to do. So tomorrow you want to do a welding course. You've been giving yourself a salary for 5 years. You don't have to ask anybody about it, your family members, anyone.
I know.
So no matter who you are, no matter how much you earn, a little bit of a salary for you and your hobbies and your aspects that will help you grow as an individual are really necessary. I'm going to give myself a salary.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to forge my own signature. Steal my money. I'm going to be that creepy guy. Yeah, guys, thank you so much. It's been such a wonderful conversation. Dali, how has it been for you? Do you think are we going to see photographs of you
On Instagram, coming soon.
Yeah, taking that sabbatical?
Yeah.
This is interesting because, I was reading a really lovely article. There's a huge bunch of couples that you see and solo travelers that you see on Instagram who are young people who decided to take these holidays. And their Instagram feeds and their social media feeds are full of amazing experiences. But there was a reporter who decided to meet them post their travels. And a lot of them dealt with the terrible feeling of loss because activity during sabbatical is amazing and then suddenly you come back to nothing.
Yes.
B, financially didn't think about it. And C, they didn't plan. But there were a group of people who did it simple, who planned and came back invigorated with ideas that they could never grab. Yes. There are companies now that are giving people sabbaticals for 6 to 8 months, paid sabbaticals. And then they come back and they do 1 year's work in that 6 months. They have to set targets. We also didn't talk about one last thing. Is it possible to actually tell your employee or your employing company that I want 6 to 8 months off? And is there a possibility I can come back to work after that because I want to take a sabbatical? It's worth a try. If they say no, they say no, but it's totally worth it.
It would be sweet if they said yes.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Because they're already guaranteed of something back.
Let's hope your company is watching this.
Yeah,
hope they're watching
I just
this.
did that for you. Yeah, you just play this video on loop now.
Yeah,
for
we
them.
shall. Yeah. It's good for the health of the employees. We shall go and see.
Right. Is a question that just came in from our live, how to put sabbatical on
On the resume.
On the resume. What is that?
So that's something that I'm noticing with a lot of youngsters.
Oh, wow.
So when you're interviewing them, a lot of them have taken a break here after 12th or say after college. So that's the new way of young sabbatical that's kind of happening. So it's a rising trend in the younger generation. So where the financial responsibilities are not there, and there they are making a mention of that I was on a sabbatical. So that's happening in the younger generation. But today, the resumes that you get, if somebody has taken a sabbatical, it's actually hidden somewhere in the CV. You don't really
Right.
So is
get
it a
to know
plus or not?
For the youngsters, right now it's seen as a plus because they took time to explore other things than the uni-dimensional path that you were following, and that it's after a bit of evaluation that you've come to the line that you've chosen.
It's beautiful, right, Neeraj? If I was hiring someone and if I actually saw that there was a time that someone took out a sabbatical, and in that he or she did something contributory to the world at large, learned a few lessons about life, learned a few things about contribution and gratitude and skills and language or whatever it is, it just sort of enhances the personality of the person and makes you feel more positive about hiring that person.
Right.
So I took a 6 month off and I learned 3 languages. Very interesting.
Right. And I think India is sort of opening up to that idea now, where it's I mean, even the ancient Aboriginal thoughts were that you do a walkabout. When you grow up, you spend a year and a half traveling, learning from experiences as opposed to from bookish knowledge.
Exactly.
You're right. It gives you skills you cannot believe. And God knows where that sort of...
And you don't know how you're going to use it and how your employer will like it, or how you will contribute if, let's say, I was hiring or if you were hiring in your company.
Right. Yeah. And we haven't done the math on the fact that on say an average age is like 65 or 70, what is 600, 700 days off on finding yourself
Completely.
or doing nothing? There is a value about doing nothing with a plan also.
People can start with 30 days,
30
because
days.
I mean 600 days and 300 days is too far away.
Yeah.
People are scared to even take 15 days.
Exactly.
So at least start
Yeah.
with your 15, 30 days
Yeah,
first.
completely.
Yeah.
And then maybe
Yeah,
do
it comes from the weird Indian ideology of the fact that every time anybody says, "Man, I'm really overworked. I'm working a lot," the first reply you usually get from people is, "अच्छा है ना, काम मिल रहा है, काम करते हैं." उसी में वो उसकी एक आँख निकल गई है. So take a break, enjoy yourselves, guys. Thank you all so much for your wonderful time and your great company. I hope through this we found a few answers about taking a sabbatical. Some incredible tips have been given by our wonderful panel here. If you want to research more about it, please do. I hope you guys have made notes, and I think this video should be there for replaying purposes. So guys, thank you so much. Until we meet again, let us all take a break.
Yes. Thank you.
Cheers.